Well, it's about that time, for us at least, with the NBA draft now 6 days away. Second round, a week from tonight, we have our full first round mock draft, PHLY Sixers style. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers podcast, along with Derek Bodner, Kyle Neubeck. I'm Devon Givens. Brianna is here. She's going to make all the magic happen on that side to make sure we stay here with you, chatting, viewing everything with you as we go through the first round and we put together the full first round mock draft here on this Thursday. As we do it, we've come to figure out how we're going to do it. We're going to go in a particular order. Since there's only three of us, we're going to keep going. 1, 2, 3. It's going to come back around to the person that starts off with the one. We'll tell you what the order is, and we'll just go down through all the teams. And I know you're all guessing, well, what about the Philadelphia 76ers? Who's going to be drafting for the Philadelphia 76ers? As Kyle said, we will get there, and you will find out. This is going to be fun. To put this together. We don't have any rules. This is what did you call this? This is a real operation here. So this is a real operation,
but that was only
folks.
because you were screwing around anyway.
Well, we're screwing around right now. Let's have a mock
Speaking
draft.
of screwing around, I was told we were going to do 45 minutes on the Kendrick Lamar concert last night. I did not realize we're doing a mock draft.
All right, well, 45 minutes, Kyle. Go for it, because there's a lot to that.
There is a lot. I have some words for my friend Martian Lynch whenever he shows up to the chat today. But until then, we will be focusing on...
And I was not lying. Real time with Prince Blue. Before we came on air, I randomly mentioned how much we talk about Sean Wayans because we are a real operation.
He's basically a member of the show.
And you put him in the chat unknowingly, of course, that we talked about it. This draft, our first round, is presented by our good friends from Rothman Orthopedics. You can see the cups here. Kyle's great hat here. We got the mug. We've got the water bottle, the hat. And again, they'll be with us throughout the entire draft conversation that we've had from Monday all the way through, because we're going to have a pretty good time talking about this, and this is going to stretch all the way till next week. So we appreciate Rothman Orthopedics for sponsoring the show. And don't forget, we'll tell you about our draft show live from Garage Fishtown a little bit later, presented by great friends from Rothman Orthopedics. All right, our draft order.
One quick point. There are no trades in this mock draft.
No.
Because if we did do that, it would take 2.5 hours. We don't need to waste all of your time. So we're just making picks and moving on.
That's correct. All right, the draft order.
Yeah, because look, we all have a firm understanding of salary structure, picks owed or not owed by the Sixers. Once you get into all 30 teams, the idea that I would know, hey, the Washington Wizards have control of these picks through 20 whatever.
Which we could do. We would just need more time to prepare. And like I said, it would be a 2 to 3 hour show. We don't need to do any of that.
Gavin, you better watch your mouth in that chat, boy. Better be careful.
That's right. Real fast, can you do the darkness, Charlie Murphy?
Darkness!
He says, SW1 laid down hot beats for the Fly Girls. Yes, that's the only good thing that he did on A Living Color, Sean Wayans. We now move on to the start of the first round of the mock draft. And in this order, if you don't know, the Atlanta Hawks have the first pick, Washington number 2, Houston number 3, and then we'll go on from there. The Philadelphia 76ers, obviously, with pick number 16, there are no trades. Pick number 1, the Atlanta Hawks will go to Derek Bodner.
Yeah, so obviously with the Hawks, Trae Young has been an offense unto himself. We feel confident on that side of the floor. Our defense has been a disaster for most of the time of Trae's tenure. There's a couple people who could help address that. Thought about Alex Sarr, not going in that direction. I'm going with Zachary Risacher. I think he is a kind of versatile wing who can really allow you to build your defense out long term. And I believe in his jump shot and his offensive game a little more than I do with Sarr. So those are the two primary reasons I went with him number 1 overall. Can't say we necessarily love it. Like the next couple of drafts will probably be better for the top of the draft. But if we're going to make a pick here, we're not going to trade it. This is who we're going with.
So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I have watched a lot of him in the French league. I've said to Derek and Devon off the show that I say to you now, I have not all the way given up on scouting international prospects, but I mostly defer to the people who spend a lot more time contextualizing what guys do over there in their various leagues, because, you know, the league quality is up and down, depending on where they're at. I certainly think it seems like he might be a safe or safer pick at number 1.
Certainly than Sarr, I'd say.
Yeah, I think Sarr is probably the upside swing. I've seen now. One of the comparisons I saw from a draft expert was to Tobias Harris, and
stretched out. He's longer though. He's long. More defensive upside.
And now that being said, to be fair to Resacher, I believe he's a quicker decision maker as a passer, guy making his reads in the half court. So don't want to be too unfair to him.
Look,
but
if Tobias,
let it be known that Derek took Tobias Harris number 1 overall.
If Tobias was 6'9" with an 8'11" standing reach and made quick decisions, he wouldn't be Tobias Harris.
That's true.
And he's what, 18, 19?
Yeah, 19.
Yeah, so 19-year-old Tobias Harris, there's a lot of upside to him.
Yeah.
So you're looking at that. He's an all-star.
I don't love it. And a lot of times, this is getting away from the Hawks now and just talking about the draft. A lot of times when people say it's a bad draft, what they mean are the first 3 to 5 picks are not people that they are comfortable projecting. It doesn't usually mean the depth. Well, this is a bad draft in the fact that the top 3 to 5 picks, you don't really know if any of them have true superstar potential. All of them have serious question marks. This is the question mark I'm going with.
All right. Let's go to pick number 2, and that is Kyle Neubeck on the clock for the Washington Wizards.
Well, the good news is the first 2 picks I make are for teams that have had shitty management for basically my entire life. So even if I screw these up, I'm basically just doing the same thing those GMs have done for a long, long time. So,
but you can keep your job though, so don't worry about it.
I can try to keep my job
good.
anyway for the time being. So I don't think the Wizards are in a position to turn down talent at basically any position. We talk a lot about trying to steal Denny Avdia, sorry, mispronounced that, as a up and coming player. He's one of the only guys I believe in as a long-term guy that is in Washington. So you need to look for building blocks wherever you can get it. You need to look for, I think, the most talent you can possibly get up here. You could go with Klingon. I think he'd help solidify their defense. Very good rim protector. Can be a low post scorer. I'm going to take the gamble. I'm going to go with Alex Sarr to the Wizards. I do think he's got higher bust potential. As I said, trying to translate an international prospect or a guy who played in France or played for Perth but is from France. I don't have as much context for how he was coming up through the AAU college basketball system. But from what I can tell, what I have heard, he has wing-type skills in a center-sized body, someone that plays hard, mobile, could be a switch defender, can protect the rim. He's got to fill out a little bit, but he's got good physical tools, almost a true 7-foot with, I believe, like a 7'4", 7'5" wingspan. Put him in there, get some guard play that is not Ty Jones, not Jordan Poole, somebody who actually wants to pass the ball, set him up. And I think you do probably have to, from what I've seen and heard, get him to stop taking so many jumpers and focus more on the interior, being a roll man, rim runner, work on all that kind of stuff in the early years. But I'm taking Alex Sarr at number 2.
That's a nice safe pick. As you said, the Klingon thing is interesting just because when you look at their situation and just needing talent, if you have questions of what's Alex Sarr going to be, at least with Klingon, you look at him and you say, I feel like I know what that guy is, especially being a guy here from college and having an opportunity to watch him for the past couple of seasons. But when you are as bad as Washington, you just simply need some talent. Somebody, as we talk about taking a swing and it's going to wind up being one of those types of players. Maybe Sarr could be. He was in the conversation for that number 1 pick overall for quite a long time until he wasn't. Derek said no. And he left Sarr on the table for Kyle and Washington. So it seemed like that makes sense. They need a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff. So having somebody like Sarr in there with some talent that you may be able to build around a little bit, not a bad pick at all. Yep,
I agree.
All right.
Like I said, he was in contention. It's not like I completely rejected him as a prospect. I just chose somebody else.
Not a bad thing.
Now, I think so. For our friend in the middle here, Devon Givens is on the clock. Pick number 3, the Houston Rockets. I think this is where the draft gets really interesting because I don't know that there's like a glaring, clear need on the team. They have a lot of guys that are in-betweeners. So, Devon, where are you going? Where's your thought process?
So for us, last summer spending as much money as we did, bringing in a new coach in Ime Udoka, Fred VanVleet.
Oh, it's we.
Dylan Brooks, Jeff Green, spending a lot of money, need some veterans in the room. It didn't really translate to the floor overall. Of course, we have the great talent in Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, Alperen Şengün really stepped up where he was in all-star consideration. But we weren't good enough. So what can we add to this team? And looking at the board on our Houston Rockets board, as you said, we can go in a lot of different directions. For whatever reason, this guy started to get away. But when I keep looking at him, he seems like an Ime Udoka type of player. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Steph Castle here and pick number 3 because of the versatility that he does, in fact, bring. Fred VanVleet signed a shorter-term contract at some point, right? That's going to run out, and maybe the 2 years left that he has on his deal, he can groom Castle. You have some other wings there, and Cam Whitmore, who had a nice season last year. We already talked about Jalen Green. I am going to go, though, as you said, this gets interesting now, and take Steph Castle early from Connecticut and bring him into the fold with this Houston Rockets team.
I really like that pick. I don't think that's where they go. If I had to guess,
No,
I think they either trade out or try to get some shooting. I think he makes a lot of sense with, you think of Fred VanVleet is small. And so remember there was that brief moment at the combine where I was like, hey, Castle measured in at like 6'2", and everybody fucking panicked. And I was like, what the hell happened? But the measurements were corrected. I believe he's a true 6'5", 6'5.5", has like a 6'9" or 6'10" wingspan, and is a guy I could see coming in and being like a do-it-all impact type guy in the backcourt. And they've got some scorers, they got some guys who are skill players. I think he could add some more toughness, and to your point, Ime Udoka type of player.
Yeah. He would have been my pick at 4. I thought he would have had a real good versatility with him and Wemby as a anchor. So that disappoints me a little bit, and in part because I thought there are other ways to address the point guard need, either further down in the draft or through trade with the Spurs. So like I said, I am a little disappointed in Devon. It's not the first time. It won't be the last time. That's okay.
And yes, when I say we, I am the GM. Yeah. So we, yes.
So having to pivot a little bit at number 4, we will go with Reed Sheppard. I think obviously
Reed Sheppard to the Spurs.
An elite shooter. I think he has pretty good court vision, high intensity guy, good culture guy. We're confident in all of that. If there's one weakness he would have as obviously he's 6'1". That's a little bit of a concern. So you'd really love for him to have point guard skills. I think the passing can get there. I'm a little worried about the shot creation and the ability to create space. But when you put him next to Wemby, I think that can cover up a lot. I think they can form a good 2-man game. I think they can each create space for each other. Reed because of the gravity he has coming off of screens. Wemby because of, you just don't leave the 7'4" alien. And I think those two can have pretty good synergy between them and cover up for any weaknesses Sheppard may have.
I like that.
It's a good pick. So I actually think, as much as I make fun of Troy Weaver for his mismanagement of the Pistons, I think that pick puts the Pistons at pick 5 in a tricky spot.
Oh.
I think this would be a trade out if I was there running, and this is how the board settles in, because they still have Jalen Duren.
I knew you were going to go there. You're going to go look at the.
I would look at the big men, but I like Jalen Duren. I think he's pretty good. I think you might be overdrafting if you're going for somebody like a Dalton Connect, right? Like I don't think he's there. I like Rob Dillingham as a shot creator, but they have Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey, so those guys don't really make sense. I might have to take a giant swing on somebody here. This is really interesting.
Okay.
Now that's why you say, hey, maybe it's a little tougher to do the job than I make it seem as I'm roasting all these guys. Okay. So I'm going to butcher his name, but I think I'm going to take Buzelis, who played for the G League Ignite. True wing size, close to 6'9", 6'10" wingspan. So the wingspan's a little small. Don't love that. He did not shoot well, but it's believed by scouts that he will be a better shooter once he gets to the league. He's got good touch, good free throw indicators, fluid handle. He's also a good defender, plays with a high motor, all that type of stuff. I'm a little worried about him finishing at the rim, the self-creation. However, I think with Cade as the primary initiator, as we're building around Jalen Duren, I need somebody in the in-between, somebody with good feel for the game, someone who's probably, I would rather get a high-end role player to fit between the bookends there. So I'm going to go with Buzelis. I don't feel wonderful about it. That's who I'm going with.
I feel like the rest of this draft, we have to preface everything with, I don't feel wonderful about it, but that's what I'm going to do.
I think I'm going to feel wonderful about my pick for Charlotte coming up here shortly. Before Kyle introduces me as being on the clock, I want to tell you about our great friends from Manscaped. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to announce that the smooth sack summer is officially upon us when you're playing in the summer sun. Yes, it's hot. Make sure you groom from pubes to bum. Thanks to our friends at Manscaped, you can make this season your smoothest yet. The Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is the ultimate bundle to keep your boys downstairs cool while you're looking hot. Join the 10 million men worldwide as you trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. Get 20% off plus free shipping when you go to manscaped.com and use code PHLY. Summertime and the trimming is easy. That's correct. The Manscaped Performance Package 5.0 has everything you need to prepare for your summer bod. It's getting hot out there. You're already on the beach. We know you're already traveling, but you have so many more days and weeks ahead of you for that beach, and you want to make sure you look your best. We also have in this entire package here for the Performance Package 5.0, inside you'll have the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. You have that. The 5th generation trimmer features 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little bit off the top, and a new foil blade to go smoother wherever your heart desires. And if you want some boxers to make sure that you're cool there as well, even throw in 2 free gifts to the Performance Package 5.0, the Manscaped Boxers, and the Shed Travel Bag. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code PHLY at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with code PHLY at manscaped.com. It's smooth.
I'm sorry.
Sack summer, boys, and get on board or get left behind.
I just want to say,
smooth sack summer.
Remind me never to try to take a drink while Devon's doing his ad read, because I would have just lost it. I would have just lost it.
I love you, but we're not even trying to hide it anymore. We're going to have Dick and Balls December later this year. That's the direction we're heading right now.
Hey. This is
we love you,
operation here, Derek.
You know who else we love? Our good friends at Shady Rays. Guys, you can get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product. Hundreds of options to choose from, so you are bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. You're going to see different degrees of style in just a moment.
Oh, there ain't no style over here.
You've seen my Shady Rays on this show quite often, but I wear them in the car. I wear them at the beach. I wear them just about everywhere. They're stylish. They keep the sun out of your eyes. That nice polarized lens. And plus, if those shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, you don't have to sweat it, because Shady Rays has the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades and Derek won't shut the fuck up, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them worry-free within 30 days. No risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. And hey, oh, by the way, it's time.
It's time.
For our Future is Bright segment. Look at the fellas. They finally brought their Shady Rays sunglasses.
They're here.
Let's put on our rose-colored glasses and explain to the people why the future is bright.
They're here.
For the Charlotte Hornets, who are up on the clock, pick number 6 in our mock draft. I want you guys, this segment brought to you by Shady Rays. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY at checkout for 35% off of polarized sunglasses.
Bree, you got to clip this with all of us on, with our shades. As I get ready to select for the Charlotte Hornets, we are probably going to lose Miles Bridges in the offseason. There's a possibility of that he's out of there. Nice selection last year, pick number 3 with Brandon Miller. Turned out to be really good. Of course, you have LaMelo Ball, who's the future of the franchise, we think. Still trending that way. We paid him that much. So I'm going to go. If you lose Miles Bridges, you still need some more help on the wing, and I'm going to take a swing here because we're still building We have a head coach who is now coming into the fold as a champion. He's done so with 2 wings and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So what I'm going to do here is go with Cody Williams, the freshman from Colorado, to add to our wing mix. I thought about the big man, but we have here.
This is quite a tumble for Klingon.
We have already in the front court at the center position, back up in Nick Richards. We have Mark Williams, who we still believe in a little bit there. So we couldn't go Klingon. We're going with, in this spot, Cody Williams, brother of Jalen Williams from the Oklahoma City Thunder, to add to our wing pool, give him some time in this organization. We know we're not that great, to improve and get better along the way, and that'll help us down the line. He's still very young.
Well, I think, and I didn't think you were going to take Klingon, so I was pretty comfortable in this, but I think that is where his fall ends here. We will take him with the Blazers at 7.
Pick number 7, Derek Bodner, GM of the Portland Trail Blazers.
Even though we have Ayton, we need a center who can anchor the defense. We need a center who is not scared.
Even though we have Ayton, pejorative.
Right. We need a center who is not scared of the ice and will make it to all the games. So we are going to take Klingon here. We think he can really anchor the defense. We already have a lot on the wings and on the perimeter. We think this will shore up our interior defense.
I like him quite a bit here because they have a lot of small guards.
Yeah.
And desperately need real rim protection.
You need a 7'7" wingspan and a 9'8" standing reach or whatever it is. You need that.
Yeah, really. Look, he's got the same concerns as a lot of these other guys who are drop defenders who struggle in space. But unlike some guys that we'll get to later that we discussed on our center show, I think Klingon has that real rim protection, rebounding type value. Yep. So I think that's a very good value pick from GM Bodner down there. So
yeah, you need some support there in case they decide to move him at some point, because he is DeAndre Ayton.
RC Buford just chilling over here
on the clock. Pick number 8, San Antonio Spurs.
Pick number 8. Reed Shepherd was selected by, I guess, lead executive Derek Bodner. Now assistant GM Kyle Neubeck comes in. Reed Shepherd, I don't think will be a true point guard. So I'm still looking at guards here. I want Wemby with as many playmakers and, frankly, guys who are willing to throw him the ball as possible, because watching San Antonio last year just fucking killed me with Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sochan, all these guys just ignoring the alien in the paint. I also know this about San Antonio.
This is interesting.
They have a long timeline. I don't think they want to try to win this year. I'm going to take the home run swing. I'm going to draft Nikola Topic, who I believe is one of the best talents available. I think he can be a lead playmaker, potentially. He's got a good slashing game. Not sure that he's going to shoot, but when you have a guy in Wemby who you can play 5 out with, I think those concerns are mitigated. You're going to have to wait for him because he's injured. I don't love this class, so I'm willing to gamble on him at pick number 8.
Yeah, and full disclosure, me and co-GM Kyle discussed this a little bit before the show, so I had a pretty good idea he was going to go in this direction when I made my selection at 4. To Kyle's point, the shooting is one of the concerns, but outside of that, when you can get a guy who has really elite court vision when he's going downhill as well, can make not only that drop-off pass to the big, but can use that attention to throw all of the kick-out passes to the corner, I think he is going to be tremendous. If he's healthy. And look, it's an ACL. It's not the scariest injury in the world. It's just changing the timeline a little bit.
I did it. He can do it.
Oh, yeah. And you're playing at the best level you've ever played.
I thought you were still executive of the Houston Rockets.
I didn't entirely know.
Player Devon right now in that sense.
He's one of those, because we've been moving away from the Spurs here, but like there's been some talk of him dropping pretty far in this draft.
Yes.
If he starts getting down into the teens, he's one of the players that I would be compelled to keep the pick for if I'm the Sixers. I think there's enough upside there. There's obviously the height of a 6'5", 6'6" point guard, and elite creativity and passing is just one of those skill sets I will almost always bank on, and he has it.
All right. I'm next up on the clock.
GM Devon, pick number 9, the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yes, we are on the clock, and disappointing last season because of the suspension with our star player and Ja Morant. Some injuries where we just started playing guys that, even as the GM, I didn't even know who the hell they were. I just said, go ahead and get out there and play some basketball. And that they did. They showed some good things. But the one thing that we do like are guys with some pretty good length, some versatile players who can do a lot of different things. And because of that, in this spot at pick number 9, where I'm expecting us, though, to get back to what we were, contending in the Western Conference as one of the better teams, I'm going to go with some more length and some height there. Lengthy player at pick number 9 and go with Ron Holland from the G League Ignite to add to some more.
He
of
does
those
feel like a
players.
Memphis type of pick, I think.
Right. So he's going to go with Bain and Jackson, and maybe Clark comes back, but Zaire Williams being there, Vince Williams showing some things, G.G. Jackson, who we saw some solid things from some really good guys, and there's not a lot of pressure to really put on Holland here at this spot. We can ease him into his role with this team. So Ron Holland is the selection here for the Memphis Grizzlies.
Look, there is an elite white shooter on the board here for Utah.
I was waiting for it.
I don't think I really have to explain this pick all that much. We're going with Dalton Knecht, the senior out of Tennessee.
I like it. I mean, you just said it.
By the way, I do like Dalton Knecht.
I do too.
I think he's a player who can contribute pretty quickly. I think the Jazz are looking to start progressing towards winning, and the other reasons we laid out.
He's a shot maker. He can score. He can do a lot of different things. Jordan Clarkson, we know he can score. They have some pretty good players there that can do that. But adding more to a team like this, you can go.
If you're asking, yes, he's available for a trade, but it's going to cost you. It's at least 4 first-round picks.
GM Derek.
Putting my Danny Ainge hat on.
I think Knecht would be an interesting guy for Memphis as well. Get some more shooting on the team, shot making, secondary creation next to Morant and Bain. Mm-hmm. So wouldn't be crazy to see him go there.
Next on the clock,
the Chicago Bulls, another
Kyle
team
Neubeck.
that I love. Somehow we didn't plan this, but somehow I ended up with all the teams that I love to make fun of their decision making somehow. So I think this one's actually pretty easy for me because I am going to operate under the assumption that me, Kyle Neubeck, GM of the Chicago Bulls, will trade Alex Caruso this offseason. And I want to put a similar-ish player in there. I'm going to take potential Sixers target, Providence guard, Devin Carter, send him to Chicago. There are lots of rumors that they may have promised him at this spot. We'll see if those are confirmed on draft night, but I have pretty high confidence in him. I think he can fit well next to a variety of different players. I still think there's a guy who I believe is at the top of the draft board right now in terms of talent. I won't say his name in case anybody wants to steal him in the coming picks, but I don't think he's a good fit, Kobe White. So I am going with Devin Carter.
Arturas Konosovas just disagreed with everything you said.
By the way, Money Mars says, "Oh wow, this must be the Shady Rays episode, huh? LOL." Well, yes, Kyle, tell them what this is. This is the Future is Bright segment here.
Shady Rays.
Come on, Money Mars. This is the Shady Rays. Absolutely, we are definitely there. All right, I'm on the clock next. GM for me and Sam Presti together teaming up for this. We can go in a lot of different directions here because we just can. We have a lot of talent on the board right now. So we can look in a lot of different spots here. And while one player in particular is pretty intriguing, we drafted a guy from that school last year, so we don't really need Rob Dillingham at this spot right now. But what we can add for a different reason is another type of wing player, since we do like those there. And we're going to go to Baylor and go Jacoby Walter at pick number 12 here for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Talked a lot about him earlier in the week on the one of the shows that we did here with the Wings and Jacoby Walter. I'm going to make sure that we put him in an Oklahoma City Thunder uniform, especially if we lose somebody like one Josh Giddey. Maybe he's on his way out. We got to have some reinforcements there. So another young player, Jacoby Walter. What was the for? What was that?
I just kind of, it's honestly not all that shocking because of the conversation we had the other day. I knew you're pretty high on him.
Yeah.
And I also think Walter's range is one of the widest.
What'd you say it was? It was like from
I
like
could see
8
anywhere
until...
from 10, 11, 12 to like 28. I've heard it's pretty. I mean, because look, I think high end, he's a 3-and-D type guy with some KCP type upside. That's a guy that some teams will value that quite a bit. Some teams will say, I'd rather gamble on some more shot creation.
Trust our player development here in OKC. All right, on the clock next. You want to go to the on the clock? Let's go to Sacramento with the 13th
I might need a
overall
clock
pick.
to think about this one.
Really? Well, we can do that.
It's the first one where I'm certain.
Well,
I'm just hoping you take the kid from France so I don't have to try to say his name.
No, he's staying on the board, buddy. Staying on the board. I'm just going to go with pure talent. I don't like the fit at all. I'm going with Dillingham. I don't think he necessarily fits.
Are you hoping to trade this pick? Is that
in real life? I might be looking to trade this pick. Yeah, but I think the talent is high enough where he shouldn't fall any farther. Obviously, I don't think he's a great fit next to Fox. I don't know what we're going to do defensively. I think that could be a disaster, but I think his upside offensively is worth it. And quite frankly, all the other options, especially all the other options that I would look to possibly pair next to Sabonis, I don't really love either. So like I said, I'm going with talent, and I'm going with Dillingham, the freshman out of Kentucky.
Yeah. Do we agree in terms of the shot creation upside? He's got some of the highest in the draft.
Yeah. And I think if you listen to our show the other day, you probably think we don't like him. I actually think he's a top 10 prospect pretty easily in this draft. Yes. I just don't like him on the Sixers, and that was a very specific part of that show. We started that show, I think it was Monday's show where we did the guards, where it's like, if you can't play next to Tyrese Maxey, I almost have you off the list unless you have superstar upside. I'm not sure if Dillingham has superstar upside, but I think he's got some of the more shot creation upside in this draft. It's just a really bad fit defensively next to Tyrese, and because of that, we were lower on him than we are in real life.
Yeah, and look, the Kings are losing Malik Monk more than likely, so you got to get another smallish guard in there to
off the bench
handle creation duties, right?
Correct.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And the Sixers will be up soon, folks. But before we do,
got to tell you guys about our good friends at Olipop, a new kind of soda with only 2 to 5 grams of sugar, 9 grams of fiber per can. Olipop is available online and in almost 30,000 retailers nationwide, including the most recent launch at all Wawa stores. You can scoop a classic root beer or a strawberry vanilla at a Wawa near you. Guys, Olipop is great at all times and all situations, whether you want something refreshing to have with a meal, you want a mixer for a nice little adult beverage, whatever your drink of choice is. And you can make these delicious drinks if you're making a mixed drink, have much less sugar in that drink than you would if you're using conventional sodas. Only 2 to 5 grams of sugar from natural sources and no added sugar in all Olipop cans. You might even sit back, watch our draft show next week at Garage Fishtown. Maybe you're not coming out, although we hope you do. Maybe you're sitting at home watching, trying to be sober Sally on a weeknight. Mm-hmm. Reach for an ice cold Olipop, and I guarantee you it'll treat you right. They have plenty of classic flavors to choose from between vintage cola, classic root beer, orange squeeze, classic grape, strawberry, vanilla, cream soda, cherry cola, watermelon, lime, and much more. So you can use the code PHLY20 for 20% off of your next Olipop order. The discount only applies to one-time orders, not to subscriptions. Olipop is sold online at drinkolipop.com and on Amazon. It's available in almost 30,000 retailers nationwide, including Wawa, Target, Sprouts, Wegmans, ShopRite, and GoPuff.
Well, we got some breaking news before we get to your
JJ to the Lakers.
Right. JJ Redick has agreed to a 4-year contract to become the next coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, according to Adrian Wojnarowski. And they've already started to try to assemble, putting together a coaching staff for JJ Redick with the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm happy for JJ.
Do you think he goes to Rite Aid?
You're right. We should probably finish off our ad segment. Before we get to JJ Redick and the rest of the draft, we want to tell you about Rite Aid, specifically their pharmacy services. With a My Pharmacy account at Rite Aid, you can refill your prescriptions, schedule a vaccine, get personalized care recommendations, sign up for prescription medications, and more. Stop stressing about your prescriptions. Let Rite Aid refill them automatically. Enroll in automated courtesy refills. It's free, easy, and most prescriptions qualify. Talk with your Rite Aid pharmacist or sign up through your My Pharmacy account at riteaid.com. And if you need to make updates to your prescriptions, you can use the Rite Aid mobile app to manage them. With the Rite Aid mobile app, you can transfer or refill your prescriptions, set up medication reminders, enroll in prescription notifications. Download the app from the Apple App Store or Google Play. Transfer your prescriptions to Rite Aid today. Just go to riteaid.com/transfer. Rite Aid caring pharmacists are ready to answer your questions and help you stay healthy. Get your prescriptions along with anything at Rite Aid you may need, including over-the-counter medicines, household products, cosmetics, and more. Just ask your pharmacy team for details. Restrictions apply.
And before we
good
to
looking out there, Kyle.
Before we get to JJ
ready to
Redick
talk about JJ, man.
and the Portland Trailblazers and Kyle Neubeck, GM, selecting for the second time for the Portland Trailblazers, I have to tell you about our live NBA draft show, which will be next Wednesday, round 1. Round 2 a week from today, but round 1 6 days, as we will be having our live draft show from Garage Fishtown, June 26th. That is at 8 p.m., presented by Coors Light. And our great friends from Rothman here on set with us, as always, as we do our draft coverage. Rothman, you see right here on the water bottle and the mug and the hat that we have here. So make sure you come out, RSVP, come in to maybe win some Sixers memorabilia. How about some PHLY apparel there? We'll talk to you guys maybe about a half hour before we start things on the clock at 8 p.m. Our draft is better than theirs, but we still have to cover it, and we will be there again starting at 8 p.m. Maybe we'll get some of you guys involved. Rich Hoffman will be there with us as well. Brianna will be on site, so we'll all be there for, again, our live draft show, Garage Fishtown, 8 p.m. We hope to see you there, presented by Coors Light and Rothman. All right. What are your thoughts on JJ Redick?
I was just going to say, I'm happy for him. We got to know him a little bit while he played here. He was a guest of the podcast. He's a, I think really smart basketball guy. I'm not a huge fan of hiring former players with no coaching experience to lead your team that has championship aspirations. I think that is, and that's not saying anything negative against JJ. It's just that is a real tough spot to put him in. But clearly, he wants to be around the game. He wants to be more than just a podcaster and a media member. So I'm happy that he gets a chance, like I said, to be around the game. I'm just not sure that's a good spot for someone with no coaching experience. But
I would have preferred, as someone like you said, being around. I, like JJ, love the podcast, enjoyed him on television, not so much as the broadcaster, as the lead broadcast with this team. I do like Doris Burke. I do like Mike Green, but it was just a little off for me. I liked him more in the secondary team that he was with. But as far as the guy goes and being a coach, I wondered when, even the Detroit situation, which is bad, it wasn't right for Monty Williams, as we talked about yesterday, but it doesn't mean it wouldn't have been right for a first-time guy coming in with a team that has basically building from the ground up. And if you're going to go and take a job, I thought that might be a little more intriguing, especially when there was a report out there that Detroit might have some interest in JJ Redick.
Yeah.
And maybe that was more of just pushing it along, forcing LA's hand to, in fact, hire him. But this is going to be a tough job for him day one right away. So his assistants, Kyle, that he's going to have to put on this team are going to be really, really important. And I'm sure you've heard stuff. Derek's heard things. I've heard some really interesting names as far as the assistants go. So I'm very curious to see where this goes for him.
First of all, I want to shout out, this is no shade at Woj, who I love and adore. Guy I know, Lakers podcaster, writer, Anthony Irwin, has been all over this and said that this was a done deal, I believe, a day or two ago. So I want to make sure, as someone who, obviously, now that it's finalized, Woj is getting the final nail. Just wanted to shout out Anthony, who's been all over this story. So gotta look out for the little guys from time to time. On the subject of JJ, I'll echo all the things that have been said here. Sharp guy, knows the game. We spent a lot of time around him. What you see on the podcast is stuff that, if you get him not in big media scrums and you want to talk to him about the game, he would open up even more than he did in front of the general group of reporters. We had good rapport with him, got to know him, understand him. I think he'll end up being a good and intense leader. Obviously, I think it's really important the type of hires they make around him, because it also can cut both ways, right? You want to have established, known quantities on the bench, guys who can help him with navigating that transition to becoming a head coach. But you can also create a dynamic from time to time if you get guys that are at the top end of that spectrum. that it almost undermines your credibility and your authority as a first-time head coach. Like they start looking to the other guy. I think that that happened with Steve Nash when he was the head coach in Brooklyn.
A little bit in Milwaukee too.
Yeah, and so that's something that I think he's going to have to watch out for. I'll be honest. I think this is a shit job to take as your first head coaching job. Now, look, you get the opportunity to coach the Lakers, and it's LeBron, it's Anthony Davis, presumably LeBron, and Anthony Davis. I think it's worth taking it. I understand why he wants to do it. He's a super competitive guy, wants to take on that challenge, but it could go very wrong very quickly. And
who's going to get the blame? Him.
Right. Look, we know what it is when you sign up to coach a LeBron James team. And that's just base level. Yeah. You're coming from doing a podcast with the guy. You know if things go wrong, all the fingers are pointing in your direction, buddy. So I wish JJ the best of luck, and we'll see how it turns out.
When you mentioned Davis too, after hearing the report, maybe about a week ago, was it, where the report was that Davis was not all that thrilled with having JJ as a first-time head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers? Clearly, if that was true, clearly they felt like they can get past all of that to hire him at this spot. So we'll see. Cleveland and Detroit are now the only two teams, organizations left now with openings. So James Borrego, maybe he'll land in one of those spots. Now they can start to do that. I'm surprised it happened before the draft or after.
I'm surprised Cleveland has not. I mean, obviously the Detroit thing is fresh.
Yeah.
But I guess there was, if you're leaving the door open to all the candidates, you drag it out. You don't want to, no reason to rush through things. I wonder if any of Cleveland's delay is the uncertainty with Mitchell and trading Garland or trading one of the, I guess, Jared Allen, if they trade one of the front court guys. I don't know.
You try to get him in before the draft, though? I mean, not that you have to.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just curious.
I do wonder, and this is like a little bit basketball media thing, but I wonder what happens to some of his co-hosts. Nekias Duncan, Steve Jones.
I'm not worried about those guys, frankly. Like Nekias and Steve are very good. And
I just hope they continue doing a podcast there.
Oh yeah, for sure. But even if they go somewhere else, I think they'll be fine. They'll be okay. They've built an audience. They're very smart guys. I think they will do just fine.
All right, GM for the second time in
back to the mock
first
draft.
round mock draft. For the Portland Trailblazers, GM Kyle Neubeck.
Derek just really wanted me to have to try to pronounce the
French guy.
The French guy. Salone, we're going to say. Salaun with the...
He's got a first name, too.
I'm not trying that one, buddy.
TJ. That's his name. He's TJ. Just go with that.
A 6'9" forward with a 7'1" wingspan, known as a very good defender on and off the ball. He just showed a lot of shooting growth during his last season in France. Good athlete, can finish at the rim. Does project as basically, if he's going to shoot, it's probably only as a standstill catch and shoot guy. But I'm not interested in, obviously in Portland, we already made our draft pick of Klingon, who I thought we got our big man of the future. Way too many guards already, so I'm not interested in guards. So I'm just going to take the best forward of any type available, and it isn't any more complicated than that.
All right, we're just going to keep rolling here. We go to pick number. Kyle, you might introduce me as the GM of the Miami Heat.
Yeah? How do you want me to do that, Pat Riley?
Same way you were doing it before. Pick number... whatever number we are right now. 15.
Pick number 15.
Yes.
We have Devon Givens. Why did my draft simulator in front of me end at the lottery? It's really frustrating me right now.
All right. Well, here, I think
we have Devon Riley.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Heat Culture.
And you know what? With this pick, because of Heat Culture, I feel like I can go in this direction because we have a couple of unrestricted point guards. We traded for Terry Rozier, so he looks to be the starter there in this spot with 2 years remaining. We do need some more ball handlers on this basketball team outside of Rozier, Hero, and Jimmy Butler. So we're going to go to USC and take Isaiah Collier here, freshman, good size.
One of my guys in this draft.
Good size, and when we talk about Heat Culture and the physicality that he plays with, playing in that system, in that Heat culture, I think it would be a nice addition to our team in Miami.
He's one of the 3 people I was considering at 16, so that's why I had a reaction. Since you asked last time, I figured I would explain this time why I had a reaction.
There you go.
At 16 with the Sixers, I just want to be clear. This pick is up for sale, but we are not doing a mock draft with trades, so I will make a selection. But it's under protest. The pick is up for sale.
No. Don't be soft shoeing around the pick.
I'm just saying.
Make the pick like a man. Come on.
If you listen to Tuesday's show, there were 2 people that I pinpointed from the wings. One of them, the more upsidey play. The other, the more sure thing. And I'm tempted to go with the sure thing just because I feel like that is what the Sixers probably should do. But I'm an upside guy. I want a guy who's going to change the direction of the franchise, or at least has a chance to change the direction of a franchise. So I am going with Bub Carrington, a 6'4" freshman guard out of Pitt. We talked about him at length. We're also now 50 minutes into a show, and it's going to end up being 2 hours.
This is the Sixers' only pick. If we're going to, we got to talk about this one a little bit.
I think he has playmaking equity. I think he can run a little bit out of high ball screens. I think he's a real good shooter. I think he has a chance to grow. He has enough size, 6'4", 6'8" wingspan, where I think if he gets stronger, he can compete a little defensively and play next to Tyrese Maxey. And just that combination of skills makes him a player that I'm really intrigued in at this spot. Tristan da Silva was the other guy that I was debating here.
Okay.
Like I said, a little more of a plug and play, a little more ready to play, and somebody who I think can step in and be a good passer, good standstill shooter, good size, give you a little bit at a position you probably need a little more of right now. I think Da Silva would have a better chance of contributing day one, but I am going a little bit, I'm kind of trying to split the difference a little bit. I think Carrington could play, maybe not year one in the playoffs, but maybe year two. I think he could have a pretty quick timeline, and I think there's more long-term upside there. There are some concerns with the shot selection. He had to do a lot there with Pitt. He had to do a lot, not only at scoring, but initiating as well. They had some good shooters around him, so that did help, but they didn't have all that much playmaking alongside of him. So I think if you put him in a more structured system, ask him to, take away some of the hero ball tendencies and the mid-range jumpers, focus a little more on extending it to the NBA three-point range. I think he has that within him, and I think over long term, like I said, the combination of both on-ball, off-ball equity, I think is a real good fit, potentially next to Tyrese Maxey for a long time.
I like the pick. Sitting there at 16, not trading it, taking a guard, need some guard help. We even saw that last season. As much as you had Kyle Lowry campaign, the Melton thing really hurt when you missed him. And let's say he does come back on a cheaper deal, a team-friendly deal, and you do get Melton back. The question is, how much can you really, really count on him if, in fact, the guy goes down once again with that back injury? You do bring back Kyle Lowry, hypothetically. You still need somebody else in there. And as much as we saw the young players Maxey is Maxey, but wanting to see out there Turk Smith on the floor sometimes, hey, they just need some ball handling. They need somebody to bring the basketball up, not named Joel Embiid or Tobias Harris. Adding another young guard with some potential there works. And look, they got the last one right when they selected Tyrese Maxey. So I would trust them with this selection here and scouting another guard and bringing him in.
Devon, remind me, who did you take at 15? My simulator broke over here, so
no
I
problem.
have to manually log.
I took Isaiah Collier for the Miami Heat. Okay. Yeah, so up next for the Los Angeles Lakers, JJ Redick and Kyle Neubeck.
Redick, I'm trying to set you up for some success.
Right away.
Bronny James, baby, come on down.
All right, so, realistically, maybe Bronny James goes here. We'll see. But it's a win-now type of team. LeBron always needs shooting. Anthony Davis needs someone who can space the floor as well. You want to open up the floor. You want somebody who can come in and play right away, because this is not a team that's worried about long timelines and contending 3-4 years from now. It's right now. So a guy poo-pooed a little bit on our show a couple days ago. I'm taking Tristan da Silva, sending him to the Lakers. It's pretty much a chalk pick, but feel confident that he can stand and shoot next to LeBron and AD. I think he can do some good interior passing stuff. I think, frankly, I wouldn't use him this way a ton, but maybe you get away with some small ball lineups where he's the nominal him and LeBron front court, basically, and you play pick and pop with him and LeBron. So I like him as a fit on the Lakers.
Good spot.
Sending him to LA.
It's a good spot. JJ would like that.
I hope so.
JJ would like that. All right. Next up on the clock is the Orlando Magic. Ooh. Are we signing Malik Monk? Are we Klay Thompson?
Question.
Are we pulling Paul George?
Problem is the draft comes before free agency. So
Very true, but we've got a lot of free agents there at the guard position too. So we might need a little bit of help there. But I'm also looking at we need some more front court help there in Orlando. So as we look at some of the front court help that's there in Orlando, I'm going to go with some upside and some young players there and go with quickly Deron Holmes in the front court from Dayton. Can space out, can play with some of those other guys that are out there where he can do some really good things. He's a different type of player than some of the front court guys that they do have, but he can also play on the floor next to Paolo with Franz Wagner, some of that pick and roll stuff that we talked about with him on the big man, the front court show that we had on Wednesday. Going Holmes here for the Orlando Magic, and we do know that they like players again that are versatile with some length there to them. So Deron Holmes to the Orlando Magic.
Interesting. Well, at 19 with the Raptors, look, we just traded a pick for Jacob Poeltl. Don't want to go big. Just invest. The pick ended up being a pretty good pick, I think, if I remember correctly.
Too, don't they?
Yeah, they do. So we don't want to go big. And I feel like a lot of the players in this range are big men. I don't necessarily love his fit with Quickly, but I'm going to go with Jared McCain, a 6'2" point guard out of Duke. Just
the
believe in the
Raptors drafting anybody who can shoot would be the upset of the century.
It would be for first, but I think a needed pivot with the way our offense has looked over the last couple of years, and just believe in the shot as much as anyone outside of maybe Shepard. Well, outside of Shepard, believe in the shot as much as anyone else in this draft. Think he can get to his spots off the dribble. Think that having that kind of gravity and deep range will help unclog our offense, which has been a little bit of a mess in a half court ever since Kawhi left. So, like I said, we're going with a 6'2" point guard, Jared McCain out of Duke.
Okay, so pick number 20. I am in charge of the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have a lot of uncertainty. We just mentioned, they have the front court guys that it feels like the rubber is going to meet the road at some point with them. It does feel like perhaps Darius Garland gets traded. If not, it might be a signal that Donovan Mitchell might be getting moved in the near future. They basically always are in need of wings and forwards. They don't really have any true wings. I don't love this player, but I'm going to go with Kaishan George. Chalk based on some mock drafts that we have seen out there, although some evaluators think he's more of a late first, early second type of guy. Can shoot the ball, bit of a playmaker on the wing. If you can get a guy with playmaking upside on the wing who can also shoot, I'll take it. That's simple.
Yeah, like that pick. All right, we go now to the 21st pick, the New Orleans Pelicans here on the clock, and that is me picking this selection. So I'm looking at Jonas Valanciunas as a free agent. And
seems like he's gone. That's the word.
Probably on the move if they don't want to do that. Seems like they also want to go a little bit smaller there at that 5 position where they allow someone like Zion to do his work and get things done. You also have some issues with the backcourt in terms of CJ McCollum specifically, where maybe they're looking to move him also, and you need some backcourt help there with just Jose Alvarado really being there. Not a lot of guards, though, that I like at this spot. So if I go big and look for the New Orleans Pelicans with some more size there, going Zach Edey at this pick to give them.
Did you say you were going to go smaller?
I said we thought about going smaller.
Oh, okay.
There's some talk about us going smaller, but we're not. We're going Zach Edey.
GM Devon said, fuck that.
That's
smaller
right.
than who? A new bowl? Or what?
Smaller? Yeah, than a new bowl, exactly. So we're going Zach Edey with the New Orleans Pelicans at pick number 21.
That one hurt. He was going to be my pick at 22 because, quite frankly, the Suns just need anybody that can play. They need depth in the worst way. In the worst way. And at this point,
can take your guy Filipowski.
My guy. Did you not watch the other show the other day?
That was the joke. In my Rainier Wolfcastle voice over here.
I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball here. With the 22nd pick, the Phoenix Suns are going with Ryan Dunn, a 6'6" small forward out of Virginia. Just like the all-around game, I think he can certainly defend and get after it on that end of the court. We could certainly use that kind of defense and versatility. Believe that the shot is going to be there to some degree. So that is where we're going at 22.
Interesting one. I thought about him a little bit later, maybe with one of my later picks.
Well,
Bucks.
I'm running the Bucks. I'm
You and Doc, baby.
Speaking of people we're familiar with here
Back
in
with
Philadelphia.
Doc. There you go. Rivers.
Doc Rivers is in the office advocating for someone to help the team, and I'm going to intentionally try to sabotage him.
Little sabotage here.
So it's an interesting dynamic, right?
Fan? Little sabotage. Here you go.
Beastie Boys fan too. That's probably that's the sabotage that I think I would roll with. So here's the thing. Again, another guy that I feel like I shit all over on one of our shows this week. Actually, someone that Devon is a fan of. Actually, the guy who is being mocked to them currently by the folks over at ESPN, Khalil Ware out of Indiana. I think given that Giannis is your building block guy, and I want front court versatility, guys who can offer a variety of skills, I'm willing to take the home run swing on him here. You hope that he can be a rim runner for Dame Lillard, can play some pick and pop when Giannis is on the floor, maybe turn him into a true stretch big, try to play 4 out around Giannis's slash and kick game, hope that the shot is consistent. And I just think it's the logical pick there. I also thought about the other big we talked about yesterday, Misi. I think they're going to need front court depth in some way. I want guys who can help them defensively. And I think Ware gives them the most defensive versatility of the potential options there. So rolling with him.
All right. At pick number 24, we're going with the hated rival.
The New York Knicks.
76ers, the New York Knicks, and Leon Rose, Worldwide West, Tom Thibodeau. We're on the clock. We got a franchise player in Jalen Brunson, and he makes things a lot easier out there on the basketball floor. But we also have some issues at the 5 spot where we might lose Isaiah Hartenstein. And if we do, preparing ourselves, might have to go big. But I'm going in a different direction, not the physical player that we think of with Thibodeau and the group, because we have rebounding all over the place. Going with a stretch big. Kyle Filipowski right here at pick number 24 for the New York Knicks. They can have a different type of big out there on the floor. If Mitchell Robinson is going to be the starter, Kyle Filipowski maybe can come off the bench and stretch the floor with the unit that they have out there. We're going Filipowski here. Some shot making.
Another Knicks pick, back to back.
Mm-hmm. We teaming up here, man. What are we doing?
Not really loving anyone left.
Take a swing.
I will go with, we like our upperclassmen here in New York. We like players who play hard. I will go with Tyler Kolek, a senior out of Marquette. Like the shot.
Feels like a very Knicks pick.
Like the shot, good ball movement. He's going to play hard, so at least there's going to be that on the defensive side of the court. Are there concerns? Sure, but we think we have enough team defense around him that we can mask that. So we will go with Kolek here with the 25th pick.
Pick number 26, GM Neubeck on the clock again for the Washington Wizards, man. Yeah, Portland and Washington twice.
Very strange to end up in this spot.
Yes.
So we went with Sarr at the top of the draft. You could really go just about anywhere. Throw a curveball, guy that we did not talk about. Trenton Flowers.
I like it.
That's who I'm taking for Washington. Again, I'm just taking upside swings here. Good athlete, good size, has not been a pull-up shooter quite yet, so that's an issue. But given that Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole are going to be dominating touches, I want somebody who can get some things done off the ball. Think he can make some money as a cutter, an off-ball player. Think he can give you some passing, but very little. And with those ball-dominant guys, the concerns that are out there about his handle not as great or not as important in this spot. So I'll take a swing on him.
All right. I'm going to go with pick number 27, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Disappointing ending, but certainly something to be excited about going into the 24-25 season. And I'm going to go with some more help on the perimeter wing in general overall here. Thought about one guy in particular, but going to stay away and going to go with another G League Ignite player, 6'9", small forward Tyler Smith here at pick number 27. I thought about another wing who's really been in the news as of late, but decided on Tyler Smith for the Minnesota Timberwolves, especially with Kyle Anderson being a free agent and a few others. Give him some time to groom there.
So I got to admit, I was arguing in the chat, and I didn't hear who Kyle selected. Who'd you take at 26?
Can you...
Trenton Flowers.
Now, in fairness, before I reprimand you over here, I did forget who Devon took at 15, but it was because my mock draft simulator fucking crashed, and now I'm so screwed up. I'm trying to manually enter things. It's bad. Who do you think I took? I took Trenton Flowers.
I didn't try to hide it. I
Flowers.
admitted that I just
At
didn't
26, I took Flowers.
I heard Devon because I was going to take him at 28. I
Were
went
you?
Tyler Smith. Yeah.
Yeah?
I was gonna
Okay.
take Tyler Smith.
All right.
Oh.
By the way, Slade says surprising Deron Holmes going so late. We did select him though already.
He went early.
So late. Yeah,
Yeah,
the word
I
on the
picked
street.
him
Yeah,
at
he's
18.
supposed to be my draft pick at 28. The word on the street is he has a promise for that spot.
From
So
the
he's
Orlando
kinda,
Magic at 18. I got him.
Oh, I got to cross off
28. Yeah.
Boy, this is great, compelling podcast.
Well, how about this?
What do you want?
Listening to Derek just go,
This is
who
what
did you
we'll
pick
do.
again?
We'll read the super chat, which is Marty
Give me a minute to
Bones.
think about this.
On,
Derek's on the clock. He's in the war room with
You want me to read Marty
No,
Bones?
I
Calvin
think
Booth
I'm
over there.
good.
All
I
right.
think I'm going to go with Bobby Klintman. Can't say I've watched a ton of him play over in Sweden, but just reading the scouting reports on him, a versatile defender like that, good size. I think he can grow and develop, become a pretty good all-around player on a team that, like we've mentioned a bunch, with the Nuggets can make role players look exceptional. I think he has a lot of tools, so I'm going with that.
Interesting. I don't know a lot about him. So he's going to Denver. Calvin Booth identified him. Okay.
All right, we have to fully commit to the bit on the show, right? Utah is on the clock.
Go.
At 29. There is another white shooter available, and I'm taking him. Johnny Furphy from Kansas. Good size, 6'7.5". Wingspan.
Go for it.
However, I do believe he's got shot making upside. He's white. The Mormons will love him. I'm taking him at 29. At least one of these white guys will be good and pair with Markkanen. And that's really our fan base. That's all we're worried
And
about.
Connect. And Dalton Connect. There they go.
All in.
All in.
White shooters.
All in. Oh, I like it. All right.
We are building the team from Hoosiers.
And with the final pick of the 2024 NBA draft in the first round, the world champion, Boston Celtics. I'm not saying we on this one. It's the Boston Celtics picking at pick number 30. And man, there's some good talent there because of who they just simply are. So instead of going where I think I want to go, I'm going to take a gamble here at pick number 30 and go with Terrence Shannon Jr., wing from Illinois.
I probably, if I wasn't doing it for the bit, I think that's who I would have taken.
It was
at
either
29.
Eves Misi or Terrence Shannon.
Yeah, which surprisingly he made it out of the first round.
Yeah.
I do think if we were doing a second round, I think he'd be on the
Pick number
Jay
31.
Billis's best available
Right.
heading into the second round, right?
Yeah. So it was between those two. But with the situation and the culture of the Boston Celtics, knowing what they can do with their development and just pulling guys in, I'm going to go with Terrence Shannon at pick number 30 for the final one of the first round.
I mean, you could have gone Bronny, and then maybe LeBron would sign with the minimum. With Boston's
just
cap,
Did you
Just
see
leave
on
J.J.
Bill
Redick on
Simmons'
an island.
podcast? He said
Leave
the
him on an
Celtics
island.
should just hold Bronny hostage.
I'm just saying with how much Boston is going to be in a financial crunch in future years, having LeBron James on the minimum would help. That's all I'm saying.
All right, super chat. On Paul George's comments, R.E. Daryl Morey, how much of the Harden situation do you think was about Harden's pride and his inability to deliver for Morey, leading to him deciding to burn that bridge as he's only on his way out?
Inability to deliver for Morey? So you think or Harden was mad because he wasn't good enough in the playoffs? No, Harden. I don't think Harden thinks he failed in the playoffs. I think Harden felt disrespected that he wasn't offered a max right away and won it out.
I don't think there's necessarily any good or bad guy in the Daryl Morey, James Harden standoff last summer. I think based on everything we've heard, it's a couple of guys who spend a long time together, both of whom have competing priorities when it comes to the contract stuff. I think Daryl played his hand. I think James played his hand. And I suspect after some time, once Harden's done playing, I think there will be some reconciliation. If I had to guess, it may not come soon. We'll see. You never know. Harden is, he's kind of if you're in with him, you're really in. And once you're out, you're out. But I think they were through so much together that I think that bridge will be mended eventually. And frankly, I don't know this. I don't think that the Harden thing will impact much at all in terms of the player movements.
Talking and all that.
It's not a non-issue, right? And Harden, for what I have said, I said it back when we started the show. For whatever you want to say about Harden as a leader of your team, a playoff performer, all that stuff, he has endeared himself to quite a few people around the league, whether that's guys that he was teammates with, players that he made money, players that he had quite a bit of fun with off the floor. He is, as far as we and I can tell, a solid stand-up guy to the people around him. And so him saying he felt betrayed by Daryl Morey, calling him a liar, all that stuff, it's not a non-issue. But in this situation with Paul George, where Paul George is now actively being disrespected by the Clippers, I think that's more relevant to how Paul George feels than how James Harden feels about Daryl Morey, right? I think that outweighs it. I think that's the most important factor.
And if Harden is going to, whatever, let's say they have those conversations, but to your point, if he's going to stand on his business of exactly that, the same thing is happening to Paul George in the situation that he is in LA. Not to say that we're offering him a guarantee of that max slot, but if it's about the money, there are not a lot of places that can offer Paul George the money. It just so happens to be Philadelphia is that spot that can offer that money that James Harden felt disrespected of not getting. And the same thing here with Paul George from the Clippers, that he was feeling disrespected about the same thing. So I would tend to believe that, he's like, thanks, James, but I'm going to take the money.
Yeah, look, the problem with Morey and Harden is that Morey didn't give Harden the money. Well, if Morey gives Paul George the money, he doesn't really have to worry too much about whether he can trust him. Players worry about trust with GMs in two instances. One, whether or not you're going to take care of them financially in the future. And two, if they're a player of Joel Embiid's caliber, whether you will listen to them in terms of player personnel decisions. Well, Paul George...
Even if you don't listen to them, make them feel like you're listening.
Paul George isn't good enough at this stage where he should have influence over player personnel decisions. I think he probably understands that. And if he gets a 4-year guaranteed money, then whether or not he can... I'm not saying it's a non-factor on whether he can trust Daryl Morey. But the specific complaint that James Harden had, and the reason why James Harden doesn't trust him, isn't really valid anymore.
It doesn't.
That's the benefit of a guaranteed contract. There's downsides to a guaranteed contract. The benefit is you don't have to worry. You've got your money. There's no going back on it.
That's it.
Sometimes wish there was 180 million wishes that there were, but you can't.
All right. Well, look, folks, that's the full first round of the 2024 NBA draft. I don't think we're doing the second round tomorrow. That's a little more difficult.
I would have had a full image of you can extract it. Did you go through the whole thing and make them? Oh, then we can post that on Twitter or somewhere else, and We'll see how we did, see if there are any complaints.
Yeah.
We'll get to that at some point, but hopefully everybody had some fun today.
Yes, we did. All right, so we had some fun. We'll be back tomorrow, 2:30, as always, on a Friday as we get ready to head into the weekend.
Tomorrow, 45 minutes on the Kendrick Lamar show.
No question about it. If you didn't
Marshall Lynch, I'm coming for you, buddy.
I'll just stay at home tomorrow. You guys can have it for yourself.
Go follow up on the Kendrick Lamar stuff that took place. Of course, this mock draft here, was presented by our good friends from Rothman Orthopedics. And let's time for a roll call here with the good folks that hung out with us for this first round.
And thank you to everybody hanging out with us today. Shout out to Joaquin from Cherry Hill, Martian Lynch, 33, the Drake Defender in the chat.
Martian?
Yeah, it's just a little bit of a bit. Eugene Ross, the king of the exclamation point.
Gene.
Only a little bit of a bit, though. Not entirely a bit. Just
Jay the Jungle, Provolone John.
What up, Provolone?
My girl, Winona.
Nona.
Rick Morse. Bootzilla.
Boots.
Gene. Is it Dantica? I don't want to mispronounce it, but Gene D. Let's say that. Or maybe Jean, if we're going real, the French.
Right.
Jean. Igavini.
Provolone says smooth sack summer begins.
Cannoli. Slade.
Holy cannoli.
Legitimately almost spit out my drink.
What up, Slade?
Brandon Katz.
Fucking
Prophet One. Who else we got in here in the chat today?
Minor.
SB Cole.
Says.
Dude, when he hit that and then just was doing
Yeah, exactly. The Matrix.
Come on, man. That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And we'll get to it tomorrow at some point. I saw him today. Said, "What's up, guys?" Our guy Al, the 2-minute warning.
What up, Al?
Was in the chat today. Shout out to Al.
Hope you're doing better.
Cannoli.
Holy cannoli.
Marty Bones, today's super chatter. Thank you to Marty.
What up, Marty?
We love that. Who else is it? The Merce in Me, or as Devon calls it, Tiramisu.
That's the name going forward.
Spo Babby.
What up, Spo Babby?
Cedric Washington in the house.
Spo Babby says A minor, repeat 5 times.
Kelly Oubre, superfan. Phil W. What up to Phil?
What up, Phil?
Thanks for being with us again today. John Dickerson in the house. Sean Sharp in the house. I'm sure my guy Will was here.
What up,
and
John?
last but not least, Darkness is in the building.
What up, Darkness?
If you have not subscribed to the channel before you leave,
yes,
hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live. And if you hit the thumbs up button, I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow, but we'll make it a good time. And it'll probably be less than an hour and 15 minutes.
RSVP.
Yes, we love to hear that from Eugene. Go to allphly.com, hit the events tab, RSVP.
Nice amount of people.
To next week's Garage Fishtown show for the first round of the draft. Next Wednesday, 7:30. We'll be hanging out, chatting, and then the show begins at 8 o'clock. We'd love to see as many of you there as possible. Giving away opening night tickets, giving away some shirts, giving away some potential memorabilia.
Oh.
That's on the graphic, baby.
Oh, my bad.
Be there or watch at home, whatever you want to do. But we'll see you then.
No, be there.
Definitely be there. Thank you to super producer Bree.
It's mandatory for you to show up. Unless,
we will
of
be
course,
back
you can't make it.
Friday at 2:30. We'll see you
No
tomorrow,
show like
everybody.
us. They're not like us.
Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.